As you can see linked up on Mark13News.com for February 24th, 2025, will the U.S. withdraw from the United Nations? And as you can see in the Daniel 11 hypothesis on BiblicalResearchLabs.com, the United Nations is the one who sends a raiser of taxes in Daniel 11:20, with the raiser of taxes itself being the Paris Climate Accord. And the one who sends a raiser of taxes is the same thing as the great horn of the he-goat in Daniel chapter 8, verse 8. The he-goat itself is symbolic of the shadow government of the Kenites, which is split into two warring factions, which is what nation shall rise against nation means in Matthew 24, Mark 13, and Luke 21, meaning the Kenite nation rising against itself through multipolar versus unipolar globalism. But as you can also see in Daniel 11 and verse 14, the robbers of thy people, meaning the Kenites, shall exalt themselves to establish the vision, meaning the vision of a one world government, but they shall fall. And that word translated as fall is a Hebrew word, which in this case means to fail, because there will be no new world order, as it's called, until Satan and his angels get cast to earth at the woe of the fifth trumpet, which either happens after the great horn of the he-goat gets broken, or the great horn of the he-goat gets broken because Satan and his angels get cast to earth, which is when the one world political system of Revelation 13 emerges, which will be made up of the four notable ones you can also read of in Daniel chapter 8, verse 8, which are the same thing as the four beasts of Daniel chapter 7. Those four beasts make up the one world system of Revelation 13 that again won't come into being until the woe of the fifth trumpet, when Satan and his angels get cast to earth. Daniel's fourth beast being exclusively supernatural. And it's also at the woe of the fifth trumpet that the he-goat of Daniel chapter 8, which again is symbolic of the shadow government of the Kenites, becomes the leopard of Daniel chapter 7, which is symbolic of the Kenites and their four hidden dynasties, providing the infrastructure of the one world system of Revelation 13. The bear of Daniel chapter 7 is symbolic of the Ezekiel 38 confederacy, headed by Gog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, meaning most likely Moscow and Tobolsk, and the lion is symbolic of the Christian nations up until the woe of the sixth trumpet, just after the one world political system gets wounded to death, because that's when Satan appears as the false Christ, which is when most Christians get killed spiritually when they begin worshiping Satan instead of Christ, which is what Antichrist means. The true Christ won't return until the woe of the seventh trumpet, 2.5 months later, or 70 evenings, which are what the 70 years in captivity to the Babylon of old were a type of. And as the true Christ says in the last verse of Mark chapter 13, what I say unto you, I say unto all, watch.